As you engage in this debate, the question shouldn't be who can take down Trump. Ganging up on one guy because he's kicking your butt doesn't make any sense. What you should be asking yourself is who can make America great again? Isn't that the message? Instead of fighting amongst each other, trying to get scraps at the table because you don't have the courage that Trump does. So there's a lot of discussion about what a radical is. So I put together a little list so you could actually talk about that maybe instead of the craziness that's going on. Conservatives get called all the time radicals, but it's really a deflection of who they really are. Let me ask you this. Radicals. We have a society where lies are being used to set public policy. The truth in so many aspects of the reality you want to deny. No matter how many times you say a lie, it doesn't make it the truth. Now that's radical. Radical is $19 trillion in debt, giving away money to every country in the world who hates us and wants to kill us. That's radical. Radical is killing babies and selling their parts to the highest bidder. That's not only radical, that's evil. Radical is killing babies and calling yourself pro-life or pro-choice in the same sentence, while giving a human baby no choice but death. This sounds like something that would come out of the Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda from Germany in 1933. That's radical. Radical is given a known terrorist state 150 billion of our dollars who seek to kill us and burn American flags while developing ICBMs, and we're giving them money to do it. That's radical. Radical is giving guns to the Mexican cartels and then allowing them to use those guns to kill our own people while trying to strip American citizens of the right to bear arms. That's radical. Radical is killing individual determination to provide for yourself and your family by taking your jobs. 93 million people out of work, 51% of the population on government welfare of some type, open borders, outsourcing, and all along they're telling us, this is good. We must have this diversity in the workforce. We are told that tolerance, fairness, along with political correctness and compromise is just how it's done. It's intellectually dishonest at the finest point. That's radical. Radical is a president who violates the law and the oath of office on a regular basis, and the cowards in Congress fail to do anything about it. Executive amnesty, Fast and Furious, Benghazi, everything. That's radical. Radical is a president who will praise a guy for putting on a skirt, but will take 5 days to lower the flag of fallen Marines, killed on American soil by an enemy he will not recognize. That's radical. Radical is a president who says he will veto a law that will help enforce or rein in sanctuary cities and could possibly stop the slaughter of innocent Americans at the hands of illegal Mexican criminals when this is 100% preventable. That's radical. Radical is we have a person running for the president who is directly responsible for the deaths and slaughters of 4 Americans, an American ambassador. And we learned it was all a smokescreen covering up illegal, treasonous activities. Not to mention the criminal fundraising activities from terrorist regimes who donate to her campaign, a private email server that was host to classified documents that she refuses to turn over. Now that's radical. Radical is we have courts who are legislating from the bench, violating the Constitution, their oath of office, and religious liberty for millions. That's radical. Radical is allowing gun-free zones, or kill zones while trying to strip the American people of the basic right of self-defense. That's radical. Radical is 234 million illegal aliens in the country, 14,445,525 jobs that Americans could be doing. Instead, they're here illegally and criminally. And again, 100% preventable. That's radical. Radical is more deaths related to illegal immigration than the deaths of American soldiers in Iraq, a war zone. That was 100% preventable. That's radical. Radical is we have a gay communist mafia trying to impose their unhealthless, godless, unnatural acts upon us to make it normal. The same group is using our legal system for religious prosecution of Christians on American soil and over several states. Not to mention the countless executions and beheadings of Christians globally. That's radical. Radical is being forced by a criminal government to have health care, and we are told it's a law, but nobody can point to it in the Constitution. By a group of unelected activist judges that refuse the right to bear arms that has been guaranteed to us for many, many years. That's radical. Radical is charging a naval officer with a crime for doing his job that he was trained to do by our own government. And our own Pentagon specifically wants our soldiers to be unarmed at these recruiting stations on purpose. Why is that? That's radical. Radical is taking the most powerful military force on planet Earth, cutting out our A-10 warplanes and Abrams tanks so that we can use that money for transgender surgeries of military personnel. That's radical. Radical is those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. In World War II, we fought against the National Socialists who did gun control, who did government health care, who promoted the state raising their kids, etc. And today, we have a presidential candidate who's out in the open and embracing the same exact National Socialism on American soil. Basically slapping the greatest generation right in the face. And what do you say? That's radical. Radical is calling the truth evil or hate speech. Instead, they want to use tolerance, political correctness, and compromise to destroy this nation. That's radical. Now, if you don't think any of these things are radical, I hate to see what you do. No real true conservatives supports any of this madness. This is not the stuff we're made of. Socialism, communism, this is the stuff that's made of. And it has destroyed many nations and sent the nations to graveyards. The nations of graveyards. So the next time anybody calls a true conservative a radical, let's remind them of these facts. They cannot be disputed. They cannot be denied. These are reality, the reality that you created. However, by all means, let's get back to talking about dead lions.